Good afternoon, everybody, and that was louder than I expected to be. We're kicking off Talking Tour today, slightly earlier than normal. Every other day we're going to be kicking off at 5:30. Tomorrow we're going to have Grace Brown here at 5:30. I'm sure that's going to get plenty of you back here. But we're starting early today because of the classic that's on. It's in that direction around about 1 kilometre. All the locals will know it. It's at the end of Larundel Street. It's going to be some fantastic racing. The men are going to be racing there tonight. Next Sunday, the women are going to be racing. They've got a circuit race for the first time. As is always the case with Talking Tour, we've got the support of Oakley. So once I open up to the floor, we're going to ask for the best questions. And I'm going to expect another one from you, Molly. You were the silver medalist yesterday, Molly, in the race for the Oakley glasses. Best question gets the glasses. Hopefully you enjoyed the racing today. We normally will be interviewing the stage winner at the start of Talking Tour each day. But because we're starting a half an hour early and it was hot, the stage winner is actually still up at the top of Wollonga Hill doing anti-doping. She's a little dehydrated. She might not make it in time. We'll see how we go. So we're going to talk to these two first. Got the opportunity to talk to a couple of stars of Australian cycling. First up is a South Australian. She's a Commonwealth Games gold medalist on the track in the team's pursuit. She's a winner of the Warrnambool Classic, one of the oldest bike races in the world. Put your hands together for Maeve Plouffe. Maeve is here racing with the ARA Australian national team. She was in the breakaway today. We're going to talk about a sprinter going in the breakaway today because I had Anna Mears in commentary with me and she said, what on earth is she doing? So I'm going to ask you that in a moment. Next up, we've got somebody who is on the rise and she's changed the way people often address me in the street. I normally walk down the street and they just call me Keno. But because she joined us in commentary at the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift last year, people are now calling me Keenan. They're using my full name. I've known Emily since she was about 16, 17. She's never called me Matt. She's never called me Keno. She's always called me Keenan. And when I arrived at the hotel, we got to the hotel in Belgium. We got there the night before. You got there later. I went down to breakfast in the morning and there were partitions where we were eating and I couldn't see anybody. And as I was going to get food, all I heard was, "Hey, Keenan. It's Emily Watts. She's been an Australian under 23 time trial champion. She's one of the rising stars of the sport. Give it up for Watts." Now, did you enjoy your experience at the Tour de France as a commentator?
Yeah, I loved my experience at the Tour de France, Femme. It was my first experience at the Tour de France, men or women. So to jump in and be straight in commentary was obviously amazing. I rode with a lot of Watts on my first training day back, just off the momentum of commentating, and then I also did a ladies tour, taking them around the stages before I joined you guys.
Okay, and you've all seen the footage of Emily with her interview with Demi Vollering. Emily changed the outcome of the Tour de France. Tell us what happened with the crocodile test.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people don't know that Garcia actually did it before Demi. So I reckon that Garcia might have done something.
So we had this challenge that was started at the Football World Cup, at the FIFA World Cup, where there was the crocodile with the teeth and you hit down the fingers. So Emily was given the task of asking the other riders to see how many of the teeth they could get down before their finger was bitten off. And Demi was superstitious and you said no problem.
Yeah, I said, no, it's fine. Like, we'll do it. It's not going to give you bad luck. And all of a sudden, I'm on the train home and there's all these comments coming in and this didn't age well. And I'm like, what has happened? And Demi Vollering basically crashed. Her teammates didn't wait for her, which is not my fault. But yeah, I gave her bad luck and she did say that on social media that she's never going to want to see this croc again.
Well, hopefully, Maeve, she will at least tolerate Emily Watts in the peloton again.
I'm not going to lie, I also would be scared of the crocodile, but I did laugh when I saw that. I think it came up on my feed probably mere minutes after the crash, and I watched it and I thought, uh-oh.
Before we get to today's stage and we get to your respective careers and the journey that you're on, I want to cast our minds back to yesterday. And Daniek Hengeveld, the stage winner yesterday, who was happier, you or her? Tell us the backstory in your relationship with yesterday's stage winner.
Look, Daniek is one of my best friends. We met on DSM over the last 2 years, and we had such a good relationship, like immediately we understood each other. So Daniek has actually been in Adelaide. I kind of joke that she's a bit of a local because she's been living with my family for the last, month or so, spent Christmas with us, loves Adelaide. And I actually knew that she would be so strong on that because we did a course recon of that course probably around New Year's time, and she was absolutely flying, so she knows those roads well. But yeah, I was so happy to see her up there. Same as Alyssa Polides, two of these girls, probably my closest friends in the peloton. So I was very happy when Gracie Elvin kind of just let me sneak into the podium room because I came in and we were all three of us were like in a hug and we're all just bawling our eyes out, like could not control. It was probably one of my happiest moments. I'm so happy for her because she's had a really rough 2 years and she deserved that.
She's had a massive crash. She was off the bike for essentially 7 months. She fractured her jaw.
Yep.
You can see the major scars up around her eyes. She
Yep.
had 4 broken ribs.
Yep. Collarbone
as well, all in the one crash. She was in hospital for about a month.
Horrible. I think she was dead for a minute in that crash. So the fact that, and it wasn't that long ago, it was July. So the fact that she's on race winning form already and how well she's thriving with her new team, like I think she'll be one to watch in the Tour de France FAMs.
You know her parents pretty well because they took you
Yeah.
under their wing in the
Yeah.
Netherlands. She said that her mum and dad were watching, she rang and mum was fine, but dad was crying.
It doesn't surprise me. Her dad is the sweetest guy, but you know, I think anyone seeing that, like, I think my parents were also crying. I think anyone seeing that and knowing her and what a deserving winner she was would also be crying.
I want to go back to your last couple of seasons. You've had a tough few years at DSM. You didn't get the contract renewed. What was your emotional reaction when the team let you go?
To be honest, I knew it wasn't working. Therefore, it was a bit of like, obviously the ego is attached to it and you're like, oh, I'm not going to be world tour. But then at the same time, I knew it was what I needed. I've kind of joked to some people, it's kind of like being in a relationship that you know is not working and then you get dumped and you're kind of sad about it. But then at the same time, you're like, I'm better without him.
Sam, I'm better without you.
No, it's just like, I think it was a great 2 years and I learnt what I needed to learn, but I'm really looking forward to, like, I still have some unticked goals on the track. I think I need a different coaching style, but I'm so glad I learnt there. I'm so glad I got to see some of the top sprinters doing their thing and got to absorb all of that. But long term, I think I needed a change. I needed something different, so it made my pathway a lot clearer.
Do you still have ambitions on the road? You've mentioned the track. Big ambitions still on the road?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that DSM took a chance on me and did take me under the wing and taught me how to ride on the road because it showed me this whole new discipline that I really didn't give as much attention or thought to. I think potentially, like I had quite quick success on the road. I'd never trained it before and I had like a few back-to-back wins at the Tour Down Under a few years ago at the Warney, a few good road nationals results, and then it was just like, boom, contract. And I had never even done a local commise kind of thing. So it was a quick learning curve, and I really was thrown in the deep end, but I accepted that and I don't regret accepting that because I kind of joke to people that I want to be on my bike, like I fucking love cycling and I want to be on my bike for 10 years at least still. So I'll be ticking along for many years to come.
Anna Mears was really happy to hear about the track campaign, given that she's the chef de mission for the Olympic team. Your pathway, Emily, has been quite different. You haven't been thrust into the limelight really quickly. You've worked really hard. And we heard Maeve mention even riding a local kermesse. You've spent the last couple of years battling away in Belgium and Holland, riding those smaller races. Tell us about the last couple of seasons for you.
Yeah, I think when I look back, I wonder, there's many a time when I thought, why am I not getting noticed? Why is someone not handing me that contract? Why am I going under the radar so much? Because obviously I won the under 23 nationals 3-4 years ago. I can't remember the year, which is so bad. And then the year after, I won the stage of the Festival of Cycling against Ruby Rose, and I was like, this is my ticket. Like, this is going to put me on the map. And I went year after year just trying to do something and find my place. And yeah, I've gone to Belgium for 3 months 2 years ago. And I got noticed by a Belgium team there, and then spent last year all in Belgium. And got noticed by this French team that I've signed for this year in Saint Michel, which is obviously an awesome opportunity and is hopefully going to give me that boost to World Tour. Because I've gone from, you guys might not know, but they've introduced a new level in women's cycling to match up with the men's cycling. So we've got Continental, Pro Continental, and now World Tour. So I rode Continental for the last 2 years. This year I'm in Pro Continental, and then the step would hopefully be World Tour next year. But and fingers crossed doing my first Tour de France this year.
Well, you're a big chance because the team has had a wildcard invitation the last couple of years. Maeve, when you hear the journey that Emily's been on, do you think there is some benefit in that hard slog and the slower learning process?
Absolutely. I think consistency is key. I think I also had that kind of hard slog on the track, so I can understand Emily's path, like the year after year going to nationals, getting your ass handed to you, like coming 10 seconds behind someone every year, just like 1 second better, and just always being fourth, fifth, and then finally making it. So when and I've also been watching Emily's career progress and her pathway, and I think it's such a good way to do it for the longevity of an athlete, like to be in races that are like challenging you, but like just above and work towards. And I think the team she signed with this year is probably one of my favorite teams in the peloton because they get such good race starts, quality riders, attacking field, like opportunistic, and races and things like Roubaix, Tour de France, like it's an incredible team. So I think she's going to really thrive there.
The good news for you is you've got 2 other Aussies on the team with you.
Yeah,
it is a French team. Are you learning French?
Yeah, you have to learn French. It's hard because obviously they're transitioning to French. They've been 100% French. And there's been a bit of a transition period, though. Even though we're in Australia, there's still a lot of French going on. And their English isn't so good, some of the staff. So we're working through it. I definitely am learning French, but I'm excited for what this team can give me, and hopefully they see a lot of value in me. I think they've signed me and maybe don't know my true potential, and I think I have surprised them a little bit these last 2 days.
What is your true potential?
I think my true potential is ultimate domestique. I think I can do a lot of roles and play a lot of part in making a winning team. I bring a great attitude. I think I'm a good leader. I'm not tooting my horn too much here, I hope. But yeah, I think I can be as good as a domestique as Loretta Hansen.
Can I add? I think she can also win races.
Maeve, what advice would you give her?
I think, to be honest, I think she's doing a bloody good job. So I think as long as she continues to enjoy it, keeps up her super bubbly personality, and one thing I also really appreciate about her is how much she's giving back to women's cycling in terms of the commentary at the Tour de France Femmes, like actually being a voice for us as well in the general media. I just wanted to add that that's also something that I see as so valuable that a lot of riders don't want to do because they're so like focused in on the racing, and she's proving that you can still be a voice, still be an incredible influence on the sport while also getting amazing race results. Yeah.
One of the elements that is often missed when people first get into the pro peloton is they've often been a winner as a junior to get to that level, to have that ambition, to work out a way where they can add value to the team without actually winning. And one of the best Australian examples is Loretta Hansen, without question. Matt Hayman was the same sort of example. He was with the Rabobank team for a long time and learnt Dutch and only won 2 races. One of them was Paris-Roubaix. Not bad going. So if you can only win 2 races, Emily, what will they be?
Wow. If I could win 2 races, stage of the Tour of France would be really nice. I had a really good experience this year at Brabantse-Pijl. It's not a very well-known race, but I really, really loved the course and the atmosphere at the race. So Brabantse-Pijl is kind of a wild card, but I would love to win it.
What are the races that you want to get back to on the road and win?
On the road, the race I loved the most, and I had a domestic job, so also like DSM the last 2 years I was full domestic, often climbing domestic, so like TT into the climb basically. But the race I loved the most was Roubaix. Like hands down, would love to do that one again. And I would love to be more of a classics rider. I think I got pigeonholed into a bit of like pure sprinter, but I don't think I am a pure sprinter. So I'm going to keep developing that engine because something like Roubaix is incredible. But yeah.
There's only a small portion of riders that actually like the idea of racing Paris-Roubaix. Many just want to tick it off and say they've done it.
Yeah.
In the interviews that we did in the few days before this race got underway, we asked people some of the things that they didn't like about being a pro cyclist. And I can't remember who it was, but one of them said, cobbles. Why would you?
So hard. Like I cried the whole time because my job was full send, max lead out into sector 1. And that's also something you need to do as a pro cyclist. Like, as Emily was alluding to be a domestic, you need to give full commitment to the team. You can't just be riding for your own results. So yeah, full commitment into sector 1. And then you still have a good 100K to go of a lot of Cobbles. So I was, there were a lot of tears shed, but I don't know, I love that like super hard racing. I think it's gritty, it's tough, but there's something about it. And just the crowds you get on the side of the road. But honestly, like there were so many points where the cobbles were so hard that you're just looking for gravel, dirt, grass, anything except these cobbles. They are so painful.
Sorry, Keenan, I'm going to ask Maeve a question.
See? She can't help herself. You know when you sit and you just tap your knee there and it flicks up? She just, Keenan, go.
When did you learn how to ride cobbles and how was your experience with that?
I think you don't learn, you just get thrown in and hope that you can finish. I didn't actually have much experience riding cobbles before Roubaix. I'd done 1 or 2 chemises with like maybe a cobble sector, but nothing. So it was maybe my 3rd race with the team was Roubaix. It was crazy. It was straight in the deep end. And those cobbles, like a cobble race doesn't compare. They're not the same thing.
There's cobbles in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Then there's cobbles in Belgium. Then there's cobbles in Roubaix.
I don't know why these roads still exist. They are like terrible. It's
because of Paris-Roubaix.
So painful. Yeah.
There is an association that actually saves and maintains those cobbles. And actually they put goats out on them.
They're not maintaining them.
That's the idea. They're maintaining them in the terrible condition that they are.
Yeah.
And they're trying to stop people from fixing them too much.
They are absolutely treacherous.
Now, you've spoken a bit about your family and the support that they've given you. I know the amount of support that you get from the Institute of Mum and Dad. Your dad in particular has gone to a lot of bike races. Tell us about the trip that you and your dad took to get to the National Championships in Perth.
Yeah, well, my dad is probably the ultimate super dad, I like to call him. He went over for 2 months and came over to do Belgium. And a lot of people said, how was Europe? Did you see much? He was like, no, I was just at bike races. Like I was supporting Em. I didn't even really have a European summer. And he's played a big role in my cycling. I think when I was younger, I rode a lot for him. And I know a lot of younger athletes have that same experience where your parents are such a driving force that you wonder whether the reason you're riding is because of your own passion or a passion that is pushed upon you. And I can realize that maybe I did start my cycling and my dad was a big driving force. But now I can realize that I love cycling so much, and I do ride with my dad on my shoulders, obviously. And coming back to your question, Keenan, We drove across to Perth for Nationals in our Winnebago. We took it 7 days, just me and Dad and the roads, and there's not a lot of wildlife out on the Nullarbor. It's not a bucket list thing, everybody crossing Australia. I trust you. The hype is not there. It is just a straight road. We took 2 corners one day. And yeah, we made it to Perth, and he's here in Tour Down Under with my mum, who flew across, and then they'll go over to Cobbles, obviously.
So Dad drove and Mum flew.
Yeah.
Dad's all in.
Dad is all in, always.
I really like the picture. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Maeve. There's a picture of Emily in the camper van on the home train on, I don't know what you're on, a Wahoo or a kicker or something or other, doing your intervals halfway across the Nullarbor.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny you say it's not bucket list because it's so on my bucket list, but I love road tripping. And so cool that the family came across. Like, my family's probably, it's quite cool because I feel like we come from opposite backgrounds with our family in cycling. So my family aren't cyclists, but they're so supportive of my sport, but kind of the opposite upbringing. So we had a rule when we were younger that the only way I was allowed to go to training is if I woke up my parents, and then went. Yeah. And so that was the rule. And my parents really thought there was something wrong with me because every day there'd be the knock at 4 a.m. so that I could go to my swimming training at 5. And like there were multiple times when my parents were like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, seems crazy." But yeah, but they're so invested now. Like, my mum now stays up at all hours of the night to watch women's cycling races, and she knows all the results of the peloton, so they're into it now.
I'm sure there's plenty of other people that had that same thing with their parents, but I can think of one great example of an athlete whose parents did the same thing. You've all heard of Craig Mottram, Buster, 5,000 metre runner, bronze medalist at the World Championships, Australian record holder, incidentally, for the 5,000 metres, 12 minutes and 34 seconds. That is about 14 and a half seconds per 100 metres for 5Ks. It's insane. Anyway, his parents said, we're not going to wake you up to go to training, you've got to wake us up to go to training. So he was always self-motivated, and you've been exactly the same.
Yeah, my parents thought there was something wrong with me because I had like Wednesday morning off. There was no swimming training. The coach wasn't there. So then I'd wake up at 5, I got to sleep in till 5, and then I would walk to the local park and I would just sprint 2 kilometers. Had my little baby G watch and lap it. And then at the end, I'd take the time, and I had a spreadsheet on my wall, and I would write the time down. And they were like...
Emily, she knows that the next broadcast, all of this is getting a run in the commentary.
Always. A commentator never forgets any facts you tell them.
Yeah. So track cycling was a good fit for that.
Pursuiting was perfect for you.
Yeah.
What are your ambitions on the track?
There's a bit of unfinished business, I think. I guess, so I've been to 2 Olympics, which is incredible, but I want to win a world championship. I feel like I've always been sitting around 4th in the individual pursuit. There's incredible riders in the individual pursuit at the moment, and we've also just moved up to 4K. But this year I'm also going to go a little bit outside my comfort zone and try and combine a bit of what I've learned on the road and the fitness I've gained and try and take on the Omnium as well. So I want to start a little bit of bunch racing on the track. But yeah, I'm really excited to go back a little bit to the track because I do love it, and I can't forget that the track raised me. The support of the Australian cycling team on the track is what kept me in cycling, what's motivated me. That's been my family for so many years. So, and I always feel so happy when I do a training camp with them or get to see them again. So I'm really looking forward to that.
And we're looking forward to watching you. We've been talking a fair bit about your respective journeys in the sport. I've just noted one of the creators of the Pro Velo Super League has joined us in the audience. Aaron, get your head out of the phone for a moment. It's a new phase for Australian cycling. We had today the Pro Velo Super League launched. It's a 6-race league, and the winner of the under-23 category in the men's, they get a 3-month stagiaire stint with the Jayco Alula team at the end of the season. The winner of the under-23 category in the women's, they get a 12-month contract with the Live Alula Jayco Continental squad, the development team. There's a lot up for grabs. If you two were in a position as 18 or 19-year-olds and eligible for that prize, how much of a game changer do you think that would have been for your careers? Particularly, actually, I'm going to go with you. You go first, because I think, like you talked about, getting noticed. This is clear cut. There's no politics in this. You win, you get the prize. Go, Maeve.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge thing, and especially how women's cycling has developed. I think, like, I don't want to make myself seem super old, but I am, like, how much older than you? A few years?
I turned 25 this year.
Okay. Not that much older then, but I think it's also good to remember
seem
that
young.
when Emily and I, like, when I graduated high school, for example, women weren't really earning wages on the road. Like, this was not a thing. I did not grow up thinking I want to be a professional woman cyclist. Like, my parents can't afford to send me to Europe, or I was like working my job to try to get to America to do some crits maybe, and like couldn't even get a crit team, you know? So it was so far-fetched in our brains. So I think a lot of us only really started seeing this as even a possibility until we were a bit older. But the fact that you could just let your legs do the talking and get a contract, I think is such an incredible incentive, and it'll up the league of racing so highly.
It's huge. It's exactly what Australian cycling need. After Emily's response to the significance of the Pro Velo Super League, I'm going to open it up to the floor for questions with the Oakleys up for grabs. What were your thoughts when you heard the league being launched and the prize that was available?
Well, the league being launched, I think, is a big thing, and NRS had to change. Something had to change to keep Australian cycling competitive against Europe, because I think there was that little bit of a mismatch between what the NRS was doing and that leap to Europe. And for me, if this Pro Velo contract was a thing when I was an under-23, the peloton should have watched out. I think I would have been very, very, very fierce. When there is a goal attached to anything, I can get really, really driven. It's a lot like Zwift Academy, actually, what they're doing. And I think that's a really great thing to just make it for Australians. But yeah, I can back what Maeve said. When I graduated high school, I went straight to uni because I knew that I had to have a backup to pro cycling because it wasn't going to be a viable option for me. And I went to uni, didn't get my degree. I still have 2 subjects left.
Same.
But that was the goal, was I need a degree behind me. Pro cycling is not going to be the be-all and end-all, and now it is for many riders. If you look at Felicity Wilson-Heffenden, she is a 19-year-old who has a contract with Trek, and it's amazing.
What is impressive is the quality of the education within the women's peloton. I'm going to open up to the floor, and as I do that, Maeve, tell everybody what you're studying.
I'm doing a double degree in law and science.
Pretty impressive.
Still doing it.
Out in the pro peloton at the Santos Tour Down Under, we've got a qualified doctor who also competed at the Olympic Games in kayaking. She speaks 4 languages fluently also, and is one of the best riders in the world. We've got a couple of qualified lawyers already that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The level of education in the women's peloton blows my mind.
Yeah.
Anybody want to open us up with the first question? Who's brave enough to go with it? Here we go.
You talked about the Cobbles and Paris-Roubaix. Is your bike set up different?
Yeah, that's such a good question. We had almost like a dropper seat in the bike. So we did set up, like, obviously the basic things, wider tires, a bit more grip, different pressure. But yeah, that was probably one of the coolest things that we had with the Scott, is we had a bit of a dropper seat, and it was really comfortable.
Somehow you managed to make the cobblestones remotely comfortable. Anybody else keen to ask a question? Molly? 2 days in a row.
So I have a question for each of you. Emily, is there any Aussie slang you have to explain to people?
Slang. I use I reckon a lot, and Europeans don't know what I reckon is. So that's the one that I use a lot, that I have to explain what I reckon means, which just means that's what I think. Like, I think that's going to happen, yeah.
That's so funny you say that one, because my teammates hate it when I say that as well. Like, they really don't get that one.
And Maeve, this is a really tough one. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Ooh, I'm going to get cancelled for this. Yes, I don't mind it.
Yes, too.
Also, I put, I love the sweet and savoury. My teammates screamed at me this morning because I put honey on my scrambled eggs. I know.
Hang on a minute. This is a whole new level.
Yeah, I've got so much dirt that's going to come in the commentary team now. They're just like, Maeve is a psycho.
I'll be with you in a minute. I've got to take some notes on Maeve Plouffe. You're going to get in the breakaway game tomorrow?
At my door tomorrow.
Why did you go in the breakaway today?
Because, look, I'm not going to be winning up Wollonga Hill. That's just not my style of rider, as much as I'd love to be a pure climber. But I think I just wanted to take the race, in my own hands, do something. I thought maybe I could get out a little gap and maybe a group would join me and we could stay out a little bit and then maybe get caught on the climb or something, so then I could be a bit of a later support for my climbers. That was kind of the thought, but also, just be opportunistic, have a fun time and race aggressively.
Well, your teammate Ellie Anderson's been really impressive. So many breakaways, and you get noticed. If she could finish, it doesn't matter where she finishes in the general classification, there'll be people that are way in front of her overall that the other teams don't know. But every sports director in the team cars now knows who Ellie Anderson is.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly. People might not know, but in the radio they will say number 100 and whatever, Ali Anderson out in the breakaway, 20 seconds. That goes through every car. And when every car's hearing Ali's name or Maeve's name, and I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then she gets a couple of results and she stands out from all the others that have got similar results because they know how aggressive she is and she adds value for the sponsors. Anybody else like to ask a question? It's going to be hard to compete with the pineapple on pizza for the sunglasses.
Oh, one down here. Yeah.
Where are we? Here we go. Just as you took a mouthful of food as well. The dumplings apparently are very good.
A long, long way into the future, what role do you see playing in the cycling? Like maybe commentating?
Well, Emily's probably the best answer for that.
My retirement strategy was sorted out my first year as a pro. I got given the opportunity to commentate at Tor of France, and I've commentated at Nationals Crit this year. So I'm going to keep that going. Hello, Liam and Kate, I just saw you. I really want to commentate, be in the media, and make a difference. Like Maeve said, I want young girls to see what a pro life is like and see that it's achievable and see it as a goal.
Do you see a role for yourself in the sport after you retire? Being a lawyer could be a pretty handy asset to be a rider agent or a rider manager.
Yeah, look, I haven't thought that far ahead because, to be honest, I'm planning on being cycling for a very, very, very long time. I'm going to be that old lady in the peloton, I hope. So I'm hoping to have a really long career ahead of me.
Anyone else with a question from the floor? Yeah, here we go.
Would you rather win a Grand Tour or a Classic?
Ooh, that's great. I feel like, obviously winning a Grand Tour would be crazy, but for my style rider, I don't think that's viable, so I'll say a Classic.
It's a really tough one. I don't really know what I want to say, but I think it would be awesome to wear the yellow, and to win it would be awesome, but even just to wear it, so I have to say Grand Tour.
Excellent, good question. Here we go.
At what age did you realise you had a talent and how did you get your foot in the door?
That's a good one. I didn't really, as I said before, I didn't realise, at the time, women's pro cycling wasn't paid and those sorts of things, so I probably didn't realise I could do this as a job until I was maybe 18 because I got offered a an allowance from the Australian cycling team as like an academy rider. So it was pretty much a full-time job. Like I would be at the track at 9 a.m., we'd leave at 5 p.m., repeat that every day, like living below the poverty line. It was really hard, but it was just the start, and I was like, whoa, I can actually do this. And then I think it wasn't really until I made my first Olympic team. I made one quite young, so I was probably, it was in 2020, so I was 20. But I think I found out I made the team at 19 or so. That was probably the time for me when I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dream. Because my dream was always to be like an Olympian. That was my dream when I was a kid. So I think once, it wasn't until my name was literally on that list and I was announced, I was like, oh my gosh, like I can be a professional athlete, yeah.
And one more for you, because I've just seen the stage winner and the race leader walk in, so we're going to get to her shortly. That was a really good question. I want your response. When did you realise you had a talent and maybe you could make a living out of it?
I kind of realised when I had a really bad accident when I was 18, and it was a cycling accident, and I broke 6 vertebrae, a collarbone, and had a face laceration.
Hang on.
Oof.
This is a good thing?
Yeah,
That's when you realised you had a talent?
You know the story, Keenan. But yeah, I think after I came back from that, and I was even stronger, and it was a year and a half after that where I won my under-23 nationals. But that was the big moment that everyone else noticed it, but I noticed when I came back from that injury that I could make it.
Okay, before I let you two go, what happens tomorrow?
Ooh.
A hard race.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be absolutely crazy. It is such a hard course.
Maeve, do you think Emily Watts should do her normal thing and go in the breakaway?
Let's go for it.
Who wants to see Emily in the breakaway?
Me.
You as well?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll hold her wheel the whole way around, but...
It's been fantastic having both of you here. I've enjoyed watching both of your careers, and I know you've still got a whole lot to come. I want to see you at the Olympics. I want to see you win that world title. I hope that we're commentating on you, winning a stage, maybe even getting the maillot jaune at the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. Everybody put your hands together for Maeve Plouffe and Emily Watts. You're done.
Done.
Excellent. So, before we give the glasses away, we've got the stage winner has made it down. A big effort for her to give us some of her time because she's got a lot to do tomorrow. She's the Swiss national champion. She rides for the EF team. Today was her first World Tour victory. She's taken the leader's jersey. She's got a 15-second lead with 1 day to go. Put your hands together for Noemi Rüegg. It has been a big day for you.
Yes, indeed. A very big day, but a really good one.
You went across the finish line, you looked across your shoulder, there was no one there, you had a look of disbelief, and the first thing we saw from you were tears. How emotional was it?
Yeah, indeed. It was such a surreal moment for me. Crossing the line first, like, that's, a really big dream. Like, crossing the line solo is always, I think, the best feeling. And then hugging my teammates and the team, just in disbelief.
At the bottom of Wollonga Hill, the second time, did you believe you could win the stage?
Yeah, I actually believed in it on top of the first one because I felt really good. But then at the bottom of the second one, I actually got a bit dropped, so I was like, maybe not. But then I just trusted myself. I went my own rhythm to close the gap. And once I made it back to the front, I was like, okay, now the hardest part of the climb is done. Now I can really try to win this stage.
Had you already ridden Wollonga Hill since you'd been in Adelaide?
Yeah, we did the recon one day, so we rode it once before.
And the role that your team played today, they were fantastic. Talk to us about your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the best teammates for sure. They kept me safe all day and they really believed in me and that gave me so much confidence to go for it. They put me in perfect position for the first Willunga climb And then Kim covered like all the moves that went in between the two climbs. And yeah, like everyone was so committed from the beginning, covering me, bringing me water and stuff. So yeah, I'm super thankful. This is a real team win.
After you went across the finish line and the team was hugging you, in commentary we spoke about you can enjoy it, but not too much, because tomorrow is a big day. There's a lot still to come.
Yeah, that's true. Tomorrow is a big day, the final day, and for sure we want to try to defend the GC. But I think it's also important to just enjoy today and, yeah, let it sink in, because as a cyclist, yeah, you always look ahead, you have your next goals, and then sometimes you forget to actually enjoy the moment. So I really want to enjoy this day, and tomorrow for sure we will be back and we will fight for it with all we have. But yeah, whatever happens tomorrow, like today has been an amazing day.
How important has today been in your career?
Yeah, I think really important, because it gives me a lot of self-confidence. I'm a rider that struggles a bit with that, and I always knew like I had it in me, but yeah, to like finish it off today and have such a nice result really gives me confidence. And yeah, now I really know I'm doing the right thing. I can trust myself, can trust my team and the whole staff. So yeah, it really gives a lot of confidence.
Before this race started, I was lucky enough to interview 58 riders from the men's and the women's Santos Tour Down Under. And we asked all of them a bunch of questions, and the same question. We all asked them, what is your greatest weakness? 80% of them said a lack of self-confidence. Why do you think that is with elite athletes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I also don't really know. I think it's just that the feeling of never really being enough or doing enough. You're always striving to be better, to do more, to train more, and yeah, I think you're never truly satisfied and like, yeah, having that feeling of, yeah, I'm doing the exactly right thing. No one is better than me. I think, yeah, it's just something that we all have. We always think the others are better, they are doing more, and yeah.
So you'll have a very important teammate tomorrow with Sarah Roy. She knows the roads well. When is the team meeting to plan for stage 3?
When we are meeting?
When's the team meeting for the strategy for tomorrow?
Probably tonight or tomorrow morning. We will see how much time we have today. And otherwise tomorrow morning.
Well, I hope you really do get a chance to enjoy it tonight. It was a phenomenal performance. I thought you looked unlikely at the bottom when you got dropped, but then once you went, you were gone. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the stage winner, the race leader, the Swiss national champion, Noemi Rüegg. Good luck tomorrow.
Much. Thank you.
Well done. Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we've got to give away the glasses. We had some great questions, but we have had one person ask a question 2 days in a row, and she came up with the pineapple on pizza that ended in a ridiculous answer from Maeve Plouffe. Molly, come and get your sunnies. Put your hands together for Molly. You can follow her on Instagram. She goes and interviews all the women riders. She goes to lots of the races. She's made the trip across from Melbourne. Thanks for joining me today. We started today at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow we're going to be kicking off at 5:30. The aim is to have the stage winner, the race winner with us for the first 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'm going to have Grace Brown. What a year she had last year. She wins the age best on the age. She wins Olympic gold. She wins the world title and says, my work here is done. So she's going to be here tomorrow at about 5:30. I hope you can join us then. In the meantime, I'm going to be heading over to watch the crit. Thanks for coming.